this point.
Leave me be, please. Just leave me alone, please. I've been asking you guys to fix it all this time. It can't be a problem right now. You only want to get in there so you can drive me nuts. You've already done that.
Hello, ma'am.
And how are you today, sir?
I'm well. How about yourself?
Seen better days. Thanks for asking.
I understand. I understand. We are on the record in uh, Mary Abernathy versus Flint Creek Homes. The case number is Butler County 23 SC 022. Ms. Abernathy appears in person and pro se. I am guessing that both Jennifer and Donna are appearing for Flint Creek Homes. Mr. Bruce also, to the extent the court ultimately allows his participation, is also present. I had last time Miss Eisenhower also present. Is she here today as well?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Miss Eisenhower also appears in person. When we were last here, which was October 13th of this year, a couple of issues arose. One, there was some discrepancy or perhaps just uncertainty about discovery in the case, and the court believed, just based on what I had in my court file, that it was very important for both sides to kind of understand what the other was saying. Miss Abernathy, do you feel confident at this point that you have the documentation that you need to go forward with your case?
I guess what you are. I just want it to be over with. They have stalked me. They have been inside of my home. They have, ever since I left this courtroom, they have not stopped. It's been one letter after another, one strange person after another, them telling me that I don't have a choice. I got to let them in. It's their house. They've been bullying me. They want me out, but yet they're blackballing me. So you don't want me in my house, but you don't want me to have another house. None of this was supposed to be about my house. My God, I buried my mom and my son in the flower garden. I had no intentions of ever leaving that house. Okay, I'm here because they wouldn't fix it. And if I hadn't came to you for help, we wouldn't be here because I'd be shutting up and I wouldn't be asking them to fix anything. That
Well,
is not right. Like, it's not right at all. And I saw some papers that they gave me. Someone offered me $200. Lie. They're walking around and they're lying. And I don't know how to fight this, which is why I came before you. And it seems like I had to call the cops just this weekend. The cops was at the house because because Jennifer was there again with three more strange people. And I'm talking about contractors, and if you see what the contractors have done, my doors are upside down. I got floors taped together for your benefit because they wanted to show it to you, and it's not right. And I know it. They're blackballing me. I want to get out of their house.
well, and I'm very sorry that it's such a emotional moment for you, and I'm doing my best to hear what you have to say, and of course, hear what the other side might have to say too, and to do my best to get some resolution on this. Mr. Bruce, I was under the impression that you might be filing with the court some sort of motion for your formal entry into the case, and I'm not seeing that I have yet received that. Did you try to send that, and perhaps it just hasn't caught up with the file?
I filed a brief, Your Honor,
Okay.
And I didn't denotate it as a motion.
Okay.
It's as a brief,
Thank you, sir.
and what it briefly says is that there's some ambiguity in the statutes in small claims, with the first part of the statute saying that attorneys are not allowed, and then further along in the statute that says that if one side has an attorney, the court should allow the other side to have time to get an attorney. Now, to me, that seems to say that there's an ambiguity about the issue. In addition, I note that on November 21st, we filed case number 23 LM 300111. which is a forcible entry and detainer action. I mentioned it in my brief. It effectively deals with the same issues that Ms. Abernathy is dealing with. And our feeling is that these cases should be consolidated. And as such, then as a consolidated matter, I'd be entitled to deal with the eviction. I believe the summonses, well, you know how we are right now with one thing and another, Your Honor. The summonses have been delivered to the court, but I do not know that they have gone to Ms. Abernathy. I show that that matter, the eviction, is scheduled for the court at 8:30 on December 5th.
Okay.
And like I say, it seems to me there's no point in doing this today and then doing it again later.
Right.
Now, in addition, we have a problem with access to the property. We've been trying to fix problems with the property and keep being denied access by Ms. Abernathy. And she's rather vehement about it and has called out the police when we tried to schedule contractors in to fix the property. And, you know, we need to fix the property and we need to have her evicted. But those issues are all one big ball of wax.
Mm-hmm.
Those issues are there because the clients placed me there. I never had a problem, none whatsoever. I only wanted my house fixed. I only wanted my food returned. After that was done, and then with Jennifer is not bringing contractors. She's bringing anybody. The last time Donna said it was a bunch of junkies and that they didn't even say contractors, and they was actually their family. So with all these different people coming in my house, picking the garage, got the garage going up and down, people in my garage messing around upstairs, scaring me. That's what they set out to do. They did that. I didn't call the police. I ran out the door to go get me something to protect myself. And the police just happened to be outside. So I flagged them down because at that point it was protect me or protect this Jennifer lady, the same lady who came in my house and said that your company was altogether wrong and prayed with me and brought someone into my house to help fix it up and then turned around and signed my eviction notice. Are you guys really kidding me right now? Like, it's not right. It's not fair. What they're doing is wrong. And on top of that, you're blackballing me. I want my house fixed. But why now? Why is it that y'all have to come in? I have all these papers here. These papers here where you guys coming in my house. And you haven't left. You've been there, sitting there, making it impossible for me to be there, and nothing's getting done. There's nothing fixed.
Let me make this suggestion.
And anybody that they said have a license.
I have not yet reviewed Mr. Bruce's brief as to the potential inclusion of him as counsel on the case. I would like to review that. I do think that there is a lot of value in what you're saying, Ms. Abernathy, that it would be good to get some closure on this, one way or another. And I hear you loudly and clearly that you're explaining that you think this is a question of your having sought a fix of your home, and it's kind of metastasized into something that's by all accounts, difficult for everyone. But I also feel like—
What about this rent? They told me that because of the condition of my house, I didn't have rent. My house is in the same condition, only worse. Then all of a sudden, it's you have rent. That's another reason why I came to you. Where did this come from?
Well, and we'll have a chance. We'll have a chance to fully litigate that issue in future, but I do think that whether or not the court allows Mr. Bruce to participate as counsel in the case, I do think that there is value in acknowledging that there are sort of two aspects of the case, one of which is poised to be heard. I think it was on the 5th of December. Mr. Bruce, can you please tell me that case number again? Oh, I'm sorry. I think you might be muted, sir.
I'd noticed there was some extraneous sound and I was trying to make sure it wasn't coming from me.
Okay.
23 LM 300111.
Okay. What I would propose to do is as follows. I would like to continue this, and my thinking is that there are a couple of reasons for the continuance. One, to get past the December 5th date and give the parties a chance to be heard on that date, and maybe be in position to put both matters on the docket from there. And I was thinking about setting this over to the 11th of December at 1:30, and with the potential of having the limited case on at 2:30 on the same day. And I'm thinking that if I were to allow Mr. Bruce's entry, he could go forward that day, since the issue has been put before the court that his inclusion would necessarily trigger an opportunity for Ms. Abernathy also to consider hiring counsel. I would like to think the time between now and the 11th of December would give you a renewed opportunity to do that.
I tried, Judge, and no attorney would touch it because I have brought it into your court and it's in court. So the attorney that I called said, let him know the outcome, because they had things going on that I still had other questions with the attorney, because they started hitting below the belt and being dirty, and I never wanted to do any of this. So I tried to call attorneys, and because I'm already in court with you, nobody wants to touch it. It's already in court. So I need to see the outcome of what happens with one thing in order to move to the next.
Well, I'll let you manage that how you deem best, but I guess what I'm saying is, if I do, having read the brief, allow Mr. Bruce to continue, my expectation is we would try to take up as much as is possible, perhaps even both the small claims and, if necessary, the limited action on the same date. And that would also jibe with your desire to get some closure on this. So I've heard you, Ms. Abernathy, very well, and you've been very passionate, and you've spoken your side very fervently, and I understand that those are issues that are still before the court and will have to be resolved at some point. But I think mechanically, doing as I have suggested, setting this over to the 11th at 1:30, and with the potential of setting the 300111 case for the 2:30 docket on the same day, depending on what happens on the 5th, might be a good thing. And it does also give you an opportunity to, if you wish to do so, reconsider potentially hiring counsel. Ms. Eisenhower, does that methodology make sense from where you're viewing the case, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Well, I will indeed do that. This is continued to December 11, 2023 at 1:30, and with the expectation that depending on what happens on the 5th, that case too might be set for the 2:30 docket on the same day. And that in the meantime, and I hate to ask you this, Mr. Bruce, but would you mind just sending a copy of your brief to my colleague, Ms. Bailyn? I just want to make sure I've had a chance to review that so I can answer that question straight away at the beginning of our hearing on the 11th.
Absolutely, Your Honor. I think we've done that, but I will make sure we do it again.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay.
Ms. Abernathy, thank you, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the
Your
11th.
Honor, Your Honor,
It's
I'm
the
so sorry.
11th and not the 5th. It's the 11th at 1:30, not the 5th.
The 11th is this case, however, and Mr. Bruce had explained that he doesn't know whether you've been actually served, but there is prospectively an eviction case that's been set on the 5th of December at, I believe it was 8:30 in the morning. And so I guess I'm just trying to put you in a position to the extent Mr. Bruce is involved himself, or Ms. Eisenhower and her colleagues in a position where we can try to orderly dispose of all of these issues, and hopefully in hearkening to your heart's cry sooner than later. And the best I think I can do is on the 11th. I think that's the fastest I could do that. Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Bruce.
Honor.
Thank you. Yes.
Do
I'm
you
sorry.
want us, I'm so sorry, do
Okay,
you
go
want
ahead.
us to go in and complete the repairs or just leave her be at this point?
Leave me be, please, just leave me alone, please. I've been asking you guys to fix it all this time. It can't be a problem right now. You only want to get in there so you can drive me nuts. You've already done that. You've done that, okay? Just leave me
Well,
alone.
I'm not going to make any
guys.
orders along those lines. I
Can
think
you tell her
you
to
can
stop
consider that issue,
blackballing
and
me?
against the backdrop of Miss Abernathy's obvious distress in that area. So
Okay,
all right. If there's nothing further, then we will be in
Yes.
recess. And
Can you tell them to
Jennifer,
please stop
Donna,
blackballing me,
Carrie, you're
please?
excused. Mr. Bruce, you're excused. Miss Abernathy, you're also excused. And thank you very much for coming in. I'll look forward to seeing you on the 11th.
thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This case is different from many of the sovereign citizen hearings featured on this channel because it does not involve jurisdiction challenges, common law arguments, or claims of immunity from court authority. Instead, it highlights a different courtroom reality. Highly emotional civil disputes can become difficult to resolve when communication between the parties completely breaks down. The judge's response demonstrates one of the most important principles in the legal system. Courts are designed to resolve disputes through evidence, procedure, and due process, not through emotion alone. Although the tenant expressed genuine frustration and distress, the court's role was to determine the legal issues surrounding repairs, access to the property, rent obligations, and the pending eviction proceedings. Rather than taking sides, the judge focused on organizing the litigation, ensuring both parties had notice of future hearings, and creating a path toward resolving all related claims together. This reflects the judiciary's responsibility to maintain fairness even when tensions run high. A key takeaway is that courts rely on documented evidence, legal procedure, and properly presented arguments. Whether a case involves a landlord-tenant dispute, a criminal matter, or a sovereign citizen claim, the same rule applies. Legal outcomes are determined by law and evidence, not by internet myths, emotional appeals, or personal beliefs. Understanding that distinction helps explain why judges consistently prioritize procedure, order, and due process in every courtroom.